Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janda Ballabha Girivadadari. Gopi Janda Ballabha Girivadadari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Karto. Play Karto. Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivadadari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivadadari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotaras Shishiman Apai Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotaras Shishiman Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glorious assembled devotees. All glorious assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to some devotees. Go Premanande Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. And today's verse is 28. Right? Good. Okay. Prayujamane Mai Tam Prayujamane Mai Tam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika Prayujamane Maitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika Prayujamane Maitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika Prayujamane Maitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika Prayujamane Maitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Vaishnavis Prayujamane Maitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika Prayujamane Maitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Prayujamane. Having been awarded. Mai, on me. Tam, that. Shuddham, transcendental. Bhagavatim, fit for associating with the personality of Godhead. Tanum, body. Arabdha, acquired. Karma, fruit of work. Nirvana, prohibitive, nyapatat, quit, panchabautika, body made of 5 elements. Translation: having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped. Please repeat. Having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Informed by the personality of Godhead that he would be awarded a transcendental body befitting the Lord's association, Narada got his spiritual body as soon as he quitted his material body. This transcendental body is free from material affinity and invested with 3 primary transcendental qualities, namely eternity, freedom from material modes, and freedom from reactions of fruitive activities. The material body is always afflicted with the lack of these 3 qualities. A devotee's body becomes at once surcharged with the transcendental qualities as soon as he is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. It acts like the magnetic influence of a touchstone upon iron. The influence of transcendental devotional service is like that. Therefore, change of the body means stoppage of the reaction of 3 qualitative modes of material nature upon the pure devotee. There are many instances of this in the revealed scriptures. Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj and many other devotees were able to see the personality of Godhead face to face, apparently in the same body. This means that the quality of a devotee's body changes from material to transcendence. This is the opinion of authorized Goswamis via the authentic scriptures. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that beginning from the Indragopa germ up to the great Indra, king of heaven, all living beings are subjected to the law of karma and are bound to suffer and enjoy the fruitive results of their own work. Only the devotee is exempt from such reactions by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Authority, the Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Haribo Pradyujamani Mai Tam Shudham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabda Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Panchabautika. Having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the change of body means stoppage of reaction of the 3 qualitative modes of material nature upon the devotee. This is true even in the beginning stages of devotional service. As explained in the Nectar of Devotion, there are 6 qualities of pure devotional service. And the first is that it puts one into transcendental pleasure. And then Rupa Goswami explains why this is so, because actually the first is that it frees one from all material distress. And the reason that it does is because material distress is caused by sinful reactions. Because of my past sinful reactions, because of my past sins, now I'm getting reactions which cause me to suffer in the material world. So Rupa Goswami then gives evidence from the scripture about how it is that, and he proves from scripture that when someone takes to devotional service, even in the stage of a sadhaka, that one's karma, past karma and present karma, aprarabdha and prarabdha karma, are both eradicated. So he quotes from various scriptures. So one of them is from the Padma Purana, in which he says, aprarabdha palam papam kutam bijam palon mukam kraminaiva praliyante vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. And this verse very clearly says that there are various kinds of karma. There's aprarabdha, karma that's stored up, that you haven't received yet. It's waiting for you in one of those storage lockers here in Los Angeles. As there's so much that you couldn't possibly suffer or enjoy it all in one lifetime. And then there's some karma that is in seed form. That means it's almost ready to come to fruition. And then there's prarabdha karma, which is the karma that I'm suffering now in the present life. And so he says, kraminaiva, step by step, praliyante Vishnu Bhakti ratatmanam. For those engaged in Vishnu Bhakti, this karma is, step by step, it is destroyed. And there's some discussion about whether the aprarabdha is destroyed first or the prarabdha is destroyed first. But in his commentary to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, actually it's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, says that just like if you take 100 lotus leaves and you put them together and then you run a needle through them, technically there's a beginning and an end, but practically you'll see that it goes through all at once. So in a similar way, say the acharyas, when one takes to the process of devotional service, then one's aprarabdha and prarabdha karma are destroyed. So how is it that one can say that one's prarabdha karma or one's present karma is destroyed? Well, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Acharya, Rupa Goswami, quotes several verses. One verse, actually 2 verses are from the 3rd canto. One is from Devahuti, 2 are from Devahuti to Kapiladev. As she says, Yanamadeha shravanadu kirtanad yet pravanad yet smaranad api kuchit svadu swadyopika sadyo savanaya kalpate punak kunas te bhagavandu darshanat. We'll start over again. Is that Yanamadeha shravanadu kirtanad yet pravanad api kuchit. So this verse is describing how there's a process of hearing and chanting, which is the process of bhakti. And that even if one is lowborn And lowborn is often represented by the acharyas as someone who's a dog eater, because it's measured, the quality of one's life and existence is often measured by what one eats. So those who regularly eat dogs as their mainstay are considered to be of the lowest kind of birth. So he says in this verse, she says in this verse, that for those, what to speak of those who see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Even those who have begun the process of devotional service, of hearing and chanting, immediately become purified, even of their prarabdha karma. And in the next verse she says, Aho batashwa pachato garyanya jiva gre vartate namatubhyam tepus tapaste juhuvu sasna arya brahmana trunama grananti ete. She says how wonderful it is that even if someone says the holy name, speaks the holy name, and it's not that one has to do it extensively, even if one does it with the tip of one's tongue, even one time, Hare Krishna, then such a person is considered to have traveled to all the holy places, performed Vedic sacrifices, done all the Vedic rituals. And what's more, the two verses that I've just quoted point out that such a person, even though lowborn, and again in the second verse it's mentioned that this person is lowborn, becomes qualified to perform Vedic sacrifices. That means that they come to a stage, a Brahminical stage. They become purified of their past sinful reactions. So these verses and others are what Rupa Goswami mentions as the way in which he gives proof that the person who takes to devotional service, because he or she becomes qualified to perform Vedic sacrifices, their body must have changed. And that means that the present body, which was considered to be made of the 5 material elements, now is transformed. This comes up also in a discussion between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami and Haridas Thakur. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would every day come to visit Haridas Thakur, when Sanatana Goswami came to Jagannath Puri, he joined Haridas Thakur and was staying with him. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came one day, he used to come every day to see Haridas, he then was introduced. Haridas Thakur says, here is Sanatana Goswami offering you obeisances. He was not introduced at that time, but Haridas brought his attention to the fact that Sanatana had come. And Mahaprabhu embraced Sanatana Goswami, being very happy to see him. Sanatana, however, was unhappy because of this, because when he traveled to Jagannath Puri through the Jarikanda forest, he had taken water from here, there, and everywhere, and the water happened to be contaminated, and therefore he had some ailment that produced itching sores on his body. And when Mahaprabhu would embrace him, then the discharge from those oozing sores would touch the transcendental body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu although Mahaprabhu was extremely happy to embrace Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana was thinking, I'm just committing an offense. And he also thought, did Sanatana Goswami, that now my body is so abominable, I'm not only lowborn, but now my body is useless for any kind of service. And if I go near the Jagannath temple, I might touch one of the pujaris and they'll become contaminated. And he was thinking, what is the use of my life? What is the use of this body? And then he thought, well, what I should do is commit suicide. So the next time when Rath Yatra comes, which was imminent, he thought, I'll wait till Jagannath's cart is rolling down Grand Road, and then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, in his presence, I'll throw myself under the wheel and commit suicide. So this was his aspiration, privately. And then one day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the house, the hut of Haridas Thakur, and he was engaged in conversation with the two, Haridas and Sanatan, and he said, I do not approve of this committing suicide. And then Sanatan could understand that the Lord, first of all, disapproved of his idea, and second, that he was omniscient, because he had told no one. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on to explain that you've already surrendered your body to me. You've given it to me. Therefore, it's my property. I have plans for that body, to use it to spread Krishna consciousness. Through you, he said, because I'm following my mother's order to stay here in Jagannath Puri, therefore, I can't go to Vrindavan and stay there. Through you, I plan to reveal the abode of Vrindavan through resurrecting the various holy places and also compiling various books about the science of Krishna consciousness. And he turned, did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Haridas Thakur and said, well, what do you think of the character of someone who will destroy another's property? So this is an indication of what the devotee's body is, because people who are born into this world, those who are born into the world, receive the first birth, and they have a body, no doubt, which is a great boon, actually. It's an opportunity, says the Srimad Bhagavatam, Nridehamadhyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam gunakarnadaram, that the body, a human body, nrideham, is just like a boat which is equipped to take one across the material ocean. And if one has favorable breezes which come in the form of instructions from the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna's instructions, and also one gets a guide, a captain, to guide one across on this boat, then one can very easily, swiftly cross the ocean of material existence. However, not everyone takes advantage of this. Some people just drive their boat around and crash it into the rocks without taking it across the ocean or even knowing that it's a suitable boat. But there are some rare souls, who come to understand that human life is meant for more. Tato Brahma Jignasa, they inquire about the Supreme and Krishna from within their heart, guides them to a Sangha, an association of devotees, where they're able to move forward in Krishna consciousness. And when a devotee becomes serious about Krishna consciousness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this in this section where he's describing how a devotee's body is not ordinary, but it becomes transcendentalized. He says that the devotee then surrenders to Krishna. Especially, he says, Diksha Kali Bhaktakari Atma Samarpan, She Kali Krishnatari Kari Atma Sam. That at the time of Diksha, when one surrenders to Krishna, Atma Samarpana means that I give myself, I'm handing myself over. I give up, and this isn't mine anymore, this is for you. This is the meaning of Diksha in this verse. So Shekali, at that time, Krishna Tari Kari Atmasam. Then Krishna says, you're as good as me. Atmasamarpa means Atmasam. Yourself, myself are on the same level. I accept you. And at that time, one no longer has a material body, but one has what's called a practitioner's body. One's body is then being used fully in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Rupa Goswami gives this verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Iha yasya harer dase karmana manasa gira nikilasu apiyavastasu jivan mukta su uchite. Such a person who's taken fully to devotional service and using body, mind, speech in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Jivan Mukta. It means that even though such a person is no doubt embodied in a body which appears to be made of 5 elements, such a person is liberated even in that body. And as proved by the verses previously, the body itself becomes transformed. Otherwise, how could it be eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices? Only one who's reached Brahminical status can do that. But through the process of bona fide diksha from a spiritual master, a Vaishnav guru, then one can attain this sadhaka deha, or practitioner's body, in which one engages in the service of the Lord. Further clarified or given weight by Sanatana Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, where he says, Yata kanchanatam yati kamsam rasa vidanata tata diksha vidanena dvijatam grite nirnam. That a person, upon accepting diksha, initiation from bona fide spiritual master, undergoes a change. The body changes, just as, he says, bell metal, when it comes in contact with, through an alchemical process, you can change bell metal into gold. And so similarly, through vidanena, through the proper process, as given in the Shastra, of surrendering to a spiritual master and taking up the process of devotional service, one's material body then becomes transformed, and one becomes eligible to worship Krishna with one's transcendental body. So one should not consider the body of a Vaishnava to be material. This is mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the Upadeshamrita. Drishtai sabhava janitara vapushashta doshar na prakritafamiha bhaktiranasya pashyet gangam nasam nakalabhut buddhapena pankar brahma dravapam apagachiti niradharmai. He says that the body of a pure devotee should never be considered to be material, even though it may look like it's made of 5 elements. It may even be infirm, or it may not look like it's a transcendental spiritual body, but just as the Ganga, which is eternally pure, sometimes has bubbles, foam, and mud. But that does not dissuade the person who's in knowledge from bathing in the Ganges. Simply moves the bubbles out of the way and dips into the Ganga. So in a similar way, one who's in knowledge considers the body of the devotee engaged in a full devotional service to be transcendental, and doesn't disparage a person for apparently having a material body, because he recognizes that it's spiritual. There's other evidence given in various shastras. Rupa Goswami summarizes in his Namashtakam, where he says, Yad Brahma Sakshat Kriti Nishchayapi Vinashamayati Vinana Bhogai Paiti Nama Spuranina Tate Prarabdha Karmeti Viroti Vedaha. He says in all the Vedas, this principle that I'm describing just now is declared, and that is that if one meditates on the impersonal Brahman, it doesn't mean that his past karma will be destroyed. Yet Brahma Sakshat Kritinishyapi Vinasham Ayati Vinana Bhogai Apaiti Nama Spuranina Tate. However, if you chant Hare Krishna, then Krishna appears he makes his appearance, which is called a spurti, and by his appearance, even in the form of the dim reflection called the namabhas, then one's karma is destroyed. In fact, even in the earlier verses of the Namashtakam, Rupa Goswami says, Yanamadeha Munivrindegehe Janaranjanaya Paramakshara Krite Tomararanad Api Mana Gudiritam Nikilogratapa Patalimba Limpasi. And that is that even if a person who doesn't know what they're doing says Hare Krishna, and they accidentally say it, or they get mad at a Hare Krishna, they say, Hare Krishna, get out of here. Because they said Hare Krishna, Rupa Goswami says, Nikilogratapa, there's ugratapa, which means horrible, sinful reactions which they're meant to suffer, then become destroyed. And how much of it? Nikila, all of it. So what to speak of those This is the spirit of the verses I quoted from Devahuti. What to speak of those who are leaning into the process of devotional service? They must certainly become purified and attain the transcendentalized bodies. Based on the principle in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagnau Brahmanohutam Brahmayeva Tenagantavyam Brahmakarma Samadhina. Krishna says that whatever material elements you engage fully in the service of the Lord attain a transcendental quality. And Prabhupada says in his purport there that matter is simply covered, but by the process of devotional service it uncovers its original spiritual nature, reveals its connection to Krishna. And now we'll take, if you'll be so kind, a few reflections. Anything that you heard from the purport or from the monologue so far that stuck in your mind, that you thought was useful and that you want to bring back out again into this assembly. Yes, Prabhu. Microphone is on its way to you in 7 seconds or less, or this class is free.
Thank you for a nice class, Vaisesika Prabhu. So it's explained actually. Then, if you get Krishna Prem, then all your material reaction, material desire, material reaction went away. So sinful activities. So is it that means then, and this gradual process, is it that means then if you're on stage of like Ruchi is about Nishta, Ruchi is about Nishta, is it that mean then more reaction of sinful activities clean off by if you're a stage of Ruchi, then if you're in a stage of Nishta?
Yes, there is a progression mentioned, although the statements from the verses I quoted say sadhyo, that it happens immediately. I also mentioned that Rupa Goswami's quoting or commenting on the verse kramanaiva, that it happens step by step. Those two ideas are there. So we find in a very famous verses that Prabhupada quoted on the Jaladuta from the first canto, second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that there's a progression of freedom from the contamination of our association with the material world. And not to quote all the verses, but they begin Shushu Shoshadhanasya, and then they end with Bidyate Hridaya Grantish, and all the verses in between. But we can hear from Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. In this verse, everyone can recognize, or many people ask when the verse is quoted in English, that the one's fruit of activities are almost completely destroyed. So what does that mean? It means there's an interim period during which one's becoming more and more purified, but there's some trace still left, and that becomes complete only upon prema, according to the Madhurya Kadambini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and also when one sees the Lord face to face. However, there is another way of looking at it, which is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 8, which everyone knows, not tenu kampam susumikshamano bunjane evatma kritam vipakam. This is mentioning how the devotee who's fully surrendered to the Lord is accepting whatever reactions are coming to him or her as the Lord's mercy. So the question may then be asked, how is it that a devotee who's engaged in pure devotional service is getting some reaction? So that's explained in the commentary to that verse, and the Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that what appears to be a karma reaction coming to a devotee engaged in the process of pure devotional service is not an ordinary sinful reaction like ordinary people will get. He says that when somebody surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then their sinful reactions are definitely destroyed. However, there may be some last vestiges of desire to enjoy the material world in a certain way. Just as much as you may burn a chapati when you're cooking it, and then you may take it out. But someone will walk in the apartment the next day and say, "Did somebody burn a chapati in here? There's some residue left." And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, it's Krishna who then gives apparent karmic reactions to the devotee, but he does so strategically. He understands what the last vestiges are in that devotee's mind and heart to enjoy the material world, and therefore he gives a kind of reaction which is very specifically meant to make that person want to give it up completely. There's mention of the similar principle in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Satyam Drishiti Artitam Artito Nrinam Navartito Yat Artito Yata Swayam Vidhate Bhagavatam Swayam Vidhate Bhagavatam Anichatam Ichapitaram Nichapadapalavam. Sorry, I mangled the verse, but anyway, it's there. And the verse says that somebody may petition the Lord for, a devotee even may petition the Lord for material things. This means that they're engaged in process devotional service, but they still have some material desire. So they're saying, they're praying to the Lord, give me this, give me that. So then Krishna says, okay, I'll give it to you, but I'll give it to you in such a way that you won't want it anymore. And instead, I'll replace it with the service to my lotus feet. And so this is also paraphrased in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll notice, in a very charming way, in which Krishna is saying, this person may be a fool, but I'm not a fool. He may be foolish, and still, he's a devotee, he's asking for material things, so I'll give it to him. But he won't ask for it anymore after the way I give it to them. So Krishna is very expert like that to help a person who's taken to the process of devotional service. Now, what is also in the first canto, 5th chapter of Bhagavatam, Navai Jano Kanchana Vrijan. Anyway, the verse says that if a person takes the devotional service and then falls down again from the process, he can't forget the rasa he had by taking up the process of devotional service. And therefore, he doesn't undergo material existence like ordinary people. In fact, in the commentaries to that verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says such a person becomes haunted by the ghost of rasa. They keep thinking of it as like, I think it was better. I think devotional. I think I should go back. What other reflections do you have? Yes, Prabhu.
Vaisesika Maharaj, so basically, once you surrender to Krishna, then your account is taken by Lord Krishna himself, and you're no longer being accounted by Yamaraj. Because you see, the way you just stated, the last statement was, now Krishna is the one who is taking charge. So that means then we come under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna is taking charge of every devotee.
Yes. And that's the whole point to the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, which is called Poshana, the way in which the devotee is maintained, nourished, and protected. You see at the end of the 5th canto, Parikshit Maharaj is concerned. He feels a great compassion for the plight of the living entities in the material world because, after all, Shukadeva Goswami has just described the various kinds of hells and the severe reactions that people get from wholesale trying to exploit the material world. So he says, how does somebody become free from all this? And then comes the story of Ajamil, which Shukadeva Goswami said he heard when he was traveling and he sat in an assembly of Vaishnavas and he heard this account. This is called Aitya. So he's passing it on, and he tells the story which explains this situation where if somebody says the holy name, then his sinful reactions are eradicated, as was the case with Ajamil, because he had fallen down, become very sinful, and by coincidence he was repeating the name of Narayan. But in the, you'll notice that Prabhupada, when he's giving class on this, he says, because it had been rendered that he had repeated it many, many times, and Prabhupada said, no, once is enough. One time, one time he clarified, if you say one time, that the name of the Lord in that way. So, yes, one becomes freed from the influence of one's karma. This is sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja ahantang sarva papibhyo mokshai shami masuchaha. I just was watching a short clip video where Prabhupada, it was in Australia, and when devotee in the audience asked Prabhupada, so how many lifetimes does it take to come to this process of pure devotional service, and does it take how many pious activities after many, many lifetimes? And then Prabhupada said, his eyes became very wide, and he said, in one moment you can attain this if you surrender to Krishna. And he quoted Sarva Dharman Parityaja, and he does this frequently. In fact, there's another conversation that Prabhupada had with an Indian man, in which the Indian man was beginning to put forward the idea that one had to acquire a certain amount of sukriti before one could surrender. And then Prabhupada said, no, you could surrender at any time. This is the prerogative of the jiva, this to say, I quit, no mas, I give up. And this, he said, was like a wealthy man who comes with a big bag of money to the poor man and said, here, take it, and no strings attached. And then the poor man has a choice, take it or don't take it. So same way Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, Prabhupada said, you can take it or don't take it. But if you take it, you immediately become fortunate. And that doesn't require any extra paperwork. You just have to check the one box. It says, I surrender, and say, okay, that's it. Now you're, that's it. No extra software required. Okay. Yes, Prabhu? 1, 2. Oh, back there, yes.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, there are a few apparently contradictory statements in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. One being...
apparently contradictory, we always say.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, one being Janma Karma Chame Divyam. The other one in Bhagavatam would be Yam Yam Vapi Smaranam.
I couldn't quite hear the verse because of the gates are going down. But what you said, first thing you said, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, as right. Juxtaposed with which other verse?
That's right. That would be like the second one would be Srimad Bhagavatam. No, Bhagavad Gita Yam Yam Vapi Smaran. Whatever state of consciousness one leaves the body in. And the other one, the statement that you need, in order to like go to the spiritual world, you need to develop your spiritual body and attain bhava and prema. So how does these three statements reconcile with each other?
Well, after this closes, then I'll start, because it's reduces by... So this is because it is not a stereotype process. There are various ways in which these principles are enacted for various living entities. And Krishna has his reasons for that. He has his reasons for the ways in which for instance, sometimes he'll, by chanting Hare Krishna, he'll liberate somebody in this life very quickly. And for others, he'll wait until the person leaves their body. And this is in the commentary of the 6th canto about the holy name. Prabhupada summarizes it, and it's in more detail in the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, but very amazingly, he says, does Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that sometimes when somebody chants Hare Krishna, they get immediate liberation. Others have to wait. And he said there are different reasons. One of the reasons some have to wait is because Krishna doesn't want everyone to have complete success in bhakti right away, because it will discourage the jnanis and the yogis. And because because they have their own impetus to follow a particular path, and Krishna is giving free will to everyone, he also has to encourage them on their paths. Janma karma chamediv young, and the verse, what was the next one you said? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Also not contradictory, because the point is that, first of all, in the verse, Janma karma chame divyam, you have to see what it means, actually, is that you understand in truth the appearance and activities of Krishna. And that can mean various things. And also, yang vapi smaran bhavam, one may remember Krishna at the time of death, but at the same time, not be ready for perfection. For instance, we have Bharat Maharaj, who is nearing perfection, and when he left his body, of course, you remember the deer, but Krishna made up for it and allowed him to retain his memory of his past life, and then he, of course, took that deer birth and then Jad Bharat, and then he became completely liberated and went back to Godhead. And so even for those who are perfected in this life in remembering Krishna at the time of death, there's still a process, and it may vary. But for most, as Prabhupada explains in his purports, both in the Bhagavatam and the Krishna book, when one leaves the body in a state of perfection, it's not that you go directly back to Godhead, but you take birth in a universe somewhere in the material world where Krishna is performing his pastimes. And there you get further trained so that you can then perfect your service and go back home, back to Godhead. Do you have your hand up? No. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, Savas Prabhu? And it's really good questions you asked, and there's a lot more that could be said about that. So, TBC.
You know, thank you for a wonderful class.
Thank you.
But in the purport, if you could just say a few words about this, I'll just read it.
Yeah.
It says, in the Brahma Samhita, it is said that beginning from the Indra Gopa germ up to the great Indra, king of heaven, all living beings are subjected to the law of karma and are bound to suffer and enjoy the fruitive results of their own work. Only the devotee is exempt from such reactions by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Authority, the Personality of Godhead. My question would be, what level does that mean? In other words, usually we have an idea of a first class, second class, third class devotee. Does that include all devotees? In other words, the last statement Prabhupada means that only the devotee is exempt from such reactions. So does that mean that someone that chants Hare Krishna once, they're considered to be a devotee? And
yes.
They're freed from all reactions of the fruitive activities, even if they continue on doing fruitive activity?
Well, no. If you continue on doing fruitive activity, then you'll, as Prabhupada used to give the example of a fan. You plug the fan in, you unplug the fan. If you plug it back in again, it's going to start up. It's going to keep going. In fact, he mentions in the context of the statement that if you see the Rath Yatra procession, then you're liberated. And Prabhupada said, but if you go back out and do more nonsense, then... But again, there are gradations, because as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to the residents of Kulina Gram, he talked about, one year he talked about, he told the devotees there, the Grahastas, he said, you should serve the Vaishnavas. They said, excuse me, what's a Vaishnav? And the first year he said, anyone who chants Hare Krishna. He said, if I hear Hare Krishna come from their mouth, Mahaprabhu said, I consider to be the best of all the people. And these people are Vaishnavas. Then the next year they asked, he gave a similar answer, that you should serve the Vaishnavas. And they said, excuse me, can you say again what's a Vaishnav? And he said, anyone who's constantly chanting Hare Krishna. This is the next level. And the third year he asked a question, and then he said, a Vaishnav, topmost Vaishnav, is the one, when you see that Vaishnav, you start chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So there are various levels of devotees. And of course the verse, yes, Twindra Gopa Matavendra Maho Sukarma, which he's quoting from there, one becomes free, is exempt, from karma, because even if one chants Hare Krishna one time, that one destroys as much karma, more than one could possibly generate from millions of lifetimes. But there are, just to finish on this one note, that there are nuances in all this. It's not a stereotype process. Everything is considered. There are various devotees who also enter into Krishna's pastimes for various reasons and at various levels. As an example, and this is the closing statement, in Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes, this is very intricately described by the various acharyas, that there are various kinds of exalted devotees who are coming into Krishna's Rasa Leela. For instance, in the 10th canto commentaries, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes into detail that some of them are sadhakas and some of them are eternally liberated. Amongst the sadhakas, there's two divisions. There are the ones who are, well, they're the rishicharis, and there are also the Shruticharis. So the Shruticharis were the personified Vedas, and they had some desire to serve Krishna in an intimate way. And as we know, in the Dandakaranya forest, the sages, when they saw Ramachandra, they said, "Oh, we'd like to, have this Madhurya kind of relationship with you, conjugal relationship." And this was all done mentally. And Ramachandra then said, "Not in this life, not in this incarnation, but when I come back as Krishna, then you can come." So they came as gopis. So did the Shruticharis. And then there were some who were eternally, they came from the spiritual world to join in the pastimes. And then there were some who didn't have the same kind of head start, called Purvarag. In other words, they had this rasa with Krishna even before they met him. And they were just coming up through their sadhana. And those are described as the ones who were kept back from the rasa dance. They tried to get out, and their relatives wouldn't let them. And in that angst of being separated from Krishna, the rasa dance, they burned up the last vestiges of any kind of karma they had, and they were then completely purified. So I just bring this up to tie together the points that there are various ways and directions that people enter into Krishna's pastimes and become completely purified. Om Tat Sat. Vancha kalpadrubhascha kripasinabhevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantakoti vaishnavindiki jai Gaur Premanande. And I'd like to thank Vaisesika Prabhu and all the devotees here at New Dwarka for maintaining such a high standard of devotional service as an example for the whole world and inspiring everybody. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Down there, or you go where in